and we have Big Fish with Adrenaline Rush. And PPL seem to have a very clear game plan here. Triple Adrenaline Rush start.
KO them, as it is, although not running a traditional brawler. It's the Aimee plus Estelle combination here for PPL. Maybe a little on brand, I suppose, for PPL in particular as a team. On the other side, of course, right, 3 Big Fish, mostly prioritizing that extra size and not playing towards the Adrenaline Rush at all, which is actually interesting, Sloth, because the DUBU Strikers are the team that actually ended up picking this stage. Historically, right, Demon Deus has been known to be one of those ones where the damage meta especially is really going to thrive. A character like Vice in particular, right, having that extra damage, those extra explosions, and ability to cover the goal barrier. So interesting here to see the DUBU Strikers not really opt for that damage at all.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like they're just going to go heavily into the control because, I mean, look at the comp that they've drafted, right? They have the Julie, obviously. And then again, just 2 enablers with Cardbox on the Now and Shapeshifting on the Era. So I feel like that extra size is just going to help them be more consistent in those strike wars, in that strike war area. You're not really farming for Adrenaline Rush procs, right? So you're just going to try to out-control the essentially triple midfielder comp that PPL is running, and it seems to be working out just fine so far, because once you get 3Z into any kind of close range situation on this Julie pick, you can't, like, none of the enemy team can defend that, really.
It's a Juliette, folks! We've been talking about it for the majority of the day so far. Here it is again. It's picked and piloted by perhaps one of the players who's been playing Juliette for the longest at this point. As a presumptive main, of course, as I talk about him, he instantly gets KO'd, and the goal barriers for his team will fall, as is per tradition. But nonetheless here, right, like, the second that you get this Juliette in a position, which should be able to be done with the amount of extra speed that's being provided to the striker, probably going to be in pretty good shape, especially as things continue to rack up now, right? The other caveat is, well, if PPL can really start getting that damage online, potentially there's an opportunity where the damage will start to scale completely out of control. It'll also be important to minimize that, but of course the goals are continuing to go in now for the DUBU Strikers.
Yeah, just the base control is going to be a bit stronger for now, because you do need to find more damage if you are the side of PP Legends. Unless, I mean, you can also just do that, and that also works perfectly fine, but more often than not, you're probably gonna be able to find, gonna be needing to find more damage. And for as long as PPL not finding more damage awakenings, that pure speed and control game plan from the side of the DUBU Strikers is gonna be a bit more effective. So I'm expecting them to take the first set here if things keep going the way I would kind of guess they would be going.
Well, they're certainly going that way now, as it's Average Alex taken off of the pitch by 3Z Breezy. Here's the energy burst here. A lot of defensive resources being committed now, and now Shapeshifting with a Maelstrom sweeps through and gets Bloom off of the pitch. It's a 3-0 early set here for the DUBU Strikers.
3-0 early set, first pick for Shapeshifting on the Era. This could be dangerous. We have a Castellast. I repeat, a Castellast is in the draft, and that's gonna go on the Era. So yeah, the snowballing, again, throughout the entire last series, I was talking about it, and now as well, again, snowballing is going to be a big thing. Goes for the aerials, actually, here, which I guess it's going to make you more effective with the speed, right? You probably don't need specifically the duration of the speed up, more so the efficiency of it, because you have a lot of speed ups anyways. And again, like, Cardbox also picking up Fighter Flight here is going to be massive. 3Z getting a little bit more size is going to help a lot as well. But honestly, on the side of PPL, you're pretty happy with the 1-2 with the Twin Drives as well. I still feel like the DUBU Strikers, though, just got more of their win con, which is just, hey, we're going to be faster and you're not going to be able to deal with us anymore.
Yeah, the other thing, right, to comment on with the aerials pick instead of the Castellast is the aerials is something that Bloom might want, right? The extra dash range plus the projectile range, especially on an Estelle goalie, could have been incredibly impactful, but Shapeshifting denying that right up away. So not only is it potentially more beneficial for the Era, but also takes out a huge best in slot for the Estelle on the other side of the pitch, and continues to be the same game plan here for the DUBU Strikers. Just procure 3Z the Rock and let him punch it in. Seems to be doing the trick just fine up to this point. Damage set aside. And even still, shape-shifting. Beautiful couple of defenses there with Cardbox teaming up. And power play opportunity now for the DUBU Strikers as 3Z in the interim was able to find one of those KOs. Energy Burst here, preemptive out of Maloom, but even less resources now. 3Z burns his early, but it's over to Cardbox and into the net.
Really good passing play for 3Z there. Again, realizing, hey, I can't get it past both of them on my own, but Cardbox has an angle. Cardbox being ready for that pass as well and just puts it in right away. DUBU now going up 1-0 in the second set.
1-0 here, and a very strong start for the DUBU Strikers. You know, as I kind of alluded to, if I was a DUBU Strikers fan, which I am, but I'm not supposed to be, I'm a, you know, cast, supposed to be unbiased, whatever. But I would, heading into the day today, I'd be a little worried, right? Like, coming off the last one versus Return to Form, who, by all accounts, shouldn't necessarily be one of the best teams in the league, right? You would have expected them to be maybe toward the bottom of the pack. They picked up a handful of decent wins and kind of got the upper hand quite significantly in the series 2 weeks ago versus the DUBU Strikers. Struggling a little bit to put the pieces together, but for now they've come out swinging. It was a 4-0 open for them. And finally, the drought's been snapped here by PPL getting their first goal on the board. But even again, right, like I think PPL is going to have a lot to prove as we continue in this season, right? They'll probably always be considered somewhat to be the underdogs in this league, no matter what they end up doing or who they end up beating. Around the backside here. Energy Burst is out, and now power play opportunity. Adrenaline Rush has been procced, and that'll allow for the goal barriers to fall. Now beautiful use of everything in the kit, and everyone gets involved, just shoving the core through.
Yeah, that extra kind of pressure that comes out of 3 characters with a dash ability, right? As soon as you're going to be a little bit close to that barrier, to that goal, we can just immediately all jump on it and add that pressure. And obviously the arrow pick, not going to be, again, not going to be the best character when it comes to close range type of defense. So excellently played by the side of PPL, as now they're trying to hold on to this point for now, lose both of their barriers pretty swiftly. Now 3Z maybe trying to set up a dash punch here, almost gets it in, but defended really well from the side of PPL.
Just enough room for the defense to be there. And didn't have the punch either to secure the goal. Fiery incredibly low on stagger, has to be careful here, and 3Z is in pursuit. Goal barrier will fall, and here's the supernova from Average Alex. There's the Fiery Flurry out, but Fiery does have the dodge to get away from that one. Shape-shifting, able to keep the core away here. Energy Burst is out, down to the bottom side. DUBU Strikers maybe trying to pick up some pressure here, but can't do it yet. Here's the Energy Burst from Average Alex, looking for Fiery, denied from 3Z. And now the connection is made between Cardbox and 3Z, looking maybe again, but at this point 3Z doesn't have a lot of speed inherent in what he does, but he has plenty of abilities once those cooldowns come back online and is able to get it done. We're on 0.5 here in set 2.
Yeah, that double size together with the Mighty Colossus was just enough for that Juliette dash punch to connect. And now 3Z has a flip available as well if he wishes to use that to get the barrier down. Bloom has one to defend with, so we'll see who's going to get more out of their flip value-wise here. As the Strikers just immediately start up an attack again and get one barrier off.
One barrier down, Energy Burst used out of Bloom, trying to get it away, but the DUBU Strikers are right back at it, shape-shifting up to the midfield line here, looking for the goal barrier, will be able to find it just there, and now the Fiery Flurry out of 3Z here. Thunderstruck comes in a little late. Shape-shifting will be back in time. Defend this gold barrier, and Cardbox teaming up here with the drones. There it is, just gets right up to 3Z, and he'll pick it up to put it in.
That was the value of the aerials, right? Just at a moment's notice, that aerial secondary was being used there, and 3Z almost immediately able to just run up into Maloom's face and get that dash punch through. Not much you can do defensively there. as we're going into another draft where Cardbox will have the choice to go first. It has a primetime pickup, which is going to help with, again, just core control, being present across the field as well, and more importantly, going to be a solid deny pick off of both Bloom and Average Alex, as the extra special finds its way onto Shape. Again, really solid as a baseline for Era, but also makes sure that this turret from Fiery isn't going to be up all the time. And another size awakening, by the way, for 3Z here. So while we're getting, again, everything that DUBU kind of wants to have, there's also a lot of damage being found on the side of PP Legends, because that's a specialized training for Average Alex. That's a missile prop from Loom, and a second spark now for Fiery, both the cooldown and the power spark in his hands now. So this could get a bit scary if the future drafts are going to be more spark heavy.
Really looking for more of those survivability awakenings, right? Obviously, everyone on the DUBU Strikers already has the big fish at their disposal for a little bit of extra stagger, but where's that Reptile Remedy to really confirm and make sure that things are not down all the time? Also, right, with the extra special already getting picked up there by Shapeshifting, now that Lifeline out of Cardbox not going to come up quite as often. So we'll have to see how that one continues to happen, but the power plays actually continue to be going here for the DUBU Strikers as 3Z finds another confirm. Takes down Fiery here. Now looking for the goal. Cardbox is trying to get over to the core, and the energy burst comes out of Shapeshifting a little late. Now transition. Average Alex is there on the front lines and will be able to put it through.
And something that I just realized as well, these sparks on Fiery could potentially be quite a difficult situation for the DUBU Strikers, because if they can't close out in this set, we're going into a draft where PPL will have priority. They will have the pick priority there because they've won the set, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the draft. That means if Fiery gets anywhere close to a first pick, there's almost no way to kind of deny a potential spark pickup again. Leadership would be worst case, because that would add so much value, but even
leadership was already... I think leadership is out.
Oh, okay, then... Well, still, if Agility's still in...
Yeah.
It's still pretty difficult, though.
Definitely difficult, for sure. Not something that you really want to be looking for. Even any priority at all, right? With the number of awakenings that are still left is worthwhile. 3Z, beautiful wait and patience on the strike there. DUBU Strikers, they're going to close this one out here early, of course. Would not like to see more scaling, more damage come out here for PPL.
Most definitely. And Fiery has a flip here, uses it pretty early as well, but doesn't get any value out of it, which is something you would like to see if you are the DUBU Strikers, as they're getting another attack going.
Looking for it again here. Just a matter, again, of waiting for 3Z to get in the right place at the right time, and there it is. Goal barrier down. Now have to wait on the Flying Phoenix to come up again, and that'll be all it really needs for the core to go in. Both goal barriers here lost for the DUBU Strikers. Shapeshifting looking to try to just keep possession of the core right now. Back up to 3Z here, potentially. Thunderstruck will get the stun off. Does have an energy burst. Doesn't need it, but does commit it anyway. It's now game point for the DUBU Strikers.
Rather be safe than sorry, right? You don't wanna potentially let a match point be falling out of your hands just because you held on to that flip there. So not optimal play, but still really good. And DUBU Strikers immediately putting on the pressure again, just saying, you know what, we don't want this game to go any further. We're trying to take this completely out after just 3 sets.
Cardbox finds one barrier. 3Z stunned away again, picks up the core with the Fiery Flurry. It gets sent away, but it doesn't matter. He's still right there. Flying Phoenix is out, but it hits the retracting goal gates. Because the energy burst out of Bloom, but even still, it feels like it's possession for the DUBU Strikers right now. Average Alex steps forward. Will be able to find the barrier here, but now DUBU Strikers back in pursuit. Looking again. Flying Phoenix up just shy. Shapeshifting up to the midfield line again. Doesn't have the Flutterfly speed anymore either. Bewitching Beam. Fire is going to wait it out. And now Cardbox looking again. Everyone getting sent around here. And 3Z back on the red side of the pitch here as well. Extra speed doesn't collect the core, but it doesn't matter. The Flying Phoenix is there to get the job done. And Juliette's win rate continues to improve.
Just for a second, the core went onto the side of PP Legends, and almost immediately now mine era speed boost, and they just started running like Prime Usain Bolt into the enemy half, and just got that core right in. That is the strength of that pick, right? Of those picks, right? If you have two enablers like that, and then obviously 3Z up front, just light work in the end to get that goal in. And DUBU Strikers starting off strong, right? You mentioned it last week, maybe not the results they were looking for, and they've definitely recollected themselves, and they've come back with, you could almost say, a statement game here, because PPL had a really rough time getting comfortable in this game.
Almost a statement game. I think that definitely was a statement game. Cardbox 100% on goal participation in that game. 3 goals, 6 assists. 3Z only 1 shy, of course, as well there. And yeah, I mean, even though you might be worried, playing with a sub, right? How is that going to work? Grimella's not there. It's 3Z, always 3Z and Grimella. No, doesn't matter. Still able to get the job done and able to play the game their way, which I think was incredibly critical there, right? The interesting thing, I think, about the adrenaline rush start is that it's kind of an awakening at the start, but also kind of not really, right? It's not like you're getting immediate value out of the damage composition unless you're actually able to find those KOs, which in fairness, they were a handful of times, but it doesn't really let you get there any quicker, I feel like. And so it took that little bit extra longer for the damage composition to get online. And in the interim, DUBU Strikers able to close it out before the snowball got rolling.
Yeah, most definitely. The adrenaline rush itself doesn't really do much for you. It just sets you up, right? And if you have something like an Estelle, a Vice, and an Amy, you have a decent amount of damage output at a starting line. But the KO confirm is going to be a bit more difficult as well. And it just kind of becomes a whole thing of, are you going to be able to find your awakenings first or not? But that was a Demon Dice game. It was chaotic. It was very speedy. And obviously a Julie pick happened again. Next up is going to be Night Market. Night Market is going to be PPL's map pick here. And I mean, Julie again. Like, I feel like you can't go into any map at this point where Julie is even like somewhat feasible and not consider her for the draft. So curious to see again where the priorities are going to lie here. Who's going to be opting to maybe ban it? Is someone going to look to maybe first pick it? And maybe there's a strategy to play around it, right? Maybe PPL or DUBU Strikers have cooked up a strategy where they're giving a Julie, giving them false security, and actually having a pretty good comp into it. So we'll see. Night Markets can be a bit of a drawn-out game. So we'll see who's going to get the more solid team comp here, which I feel like is going to be very valuable.
I mean, if you're ready to just plug and play, if you're the DUBU Strikers, you definitely can, right? With the last comp you just played. I feel like it's a little more difficult to do that if you're the side of PPL. So I imagine we'll see something slightly different. But what exactly it is, I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, actually, interesting piece of advice. The DUBU Strikers will remain on red side as per their own choice. So they're actually giving away that first pick and the opportunity to potentially pick up that Juliette first.
Yeah, this could go either of two ways. This could be them having a very strong strategy and saying, you know what, we're fine playing into Julie here because we have something better. Or this is them just saying, you know what, we don't really care about the first pick. We want a strong 2-3 pairing that works really well together, especially on a map like Night Market, and we're just taking out the Julie in a ban. So we'll see how that's going to go. We have very polarizing awakenings. So a Hotshot and Monumentalist start is going to open the window for quite a few funny picks here. And I don't know, maybe the Julie isn't going to be the first prio pick. There are quite a few things that could be quite strong here.
Juno, Rune immediately come to mind, right? For both. Cardbox has a pretty disgusting Rune, right? And PPL recognizes this early in the draft and elects to ban away one of those two strikers. But I would not be surprised to see a potential Rune here come out on 2-3 out of the DUBU Strikers here, noting Cardbox. I imagine DUBU Strikers might just ban away the Fitty again. Might as well. Worked last time. No need to change up, reinvent the wheel here.
Also, curious to see what's going to be the first pick. It's going to be the Now together with the Monumentalist or the Hotshot, both great awakenings to be picked up here as well. Also, Rune, if it's not going to be a 2-3 for the Sundubu Strikers, PB Legends can very much still play a Rune as well, right? Both Bloom and Average Alex have a history on that pick and do well on that pick. So we'll see how that character is going to be incorporated into this draft, because it is a very strong pick as a baseline already on its map. Dude, Sundubu Strikers, they see Era Julia.
Oh,
They're just,
come on.
Why overcomplicate it, you know? Like,
Put the fries in the bag. Oh. I was like excited for a moment, Sloth. I was really excited that we'd maybe get to see a Rune again or something. And maybe we still will, because it's probably just Shape picking up the Era again. So maybe we still will. But put the fries in the bag. It's the Juliette again for 3Z. Is what it is. All good.
Hey, the win rates don't lie, you know? You just gotta prioritize it at times. And again, like Arrow Julie together is just so strong if you get both of them. So we'll see where it's gonna go here. As Erasmus, Kai is gonna be the pickup for the PP Legends. So they're just kind of going for an all-rounder comp here, wanting to go into that core control area, wanting to have a little bit of that survivability with the Now as well, having a decent amount of shove as well with Erasmus. Erasmus also into the Era could be an interesting matchup, because the Erasmus obviously likes size. Era's just going to make him small, but Era also doesn't deal incredibly well with playmaking, and Rasmus has the potential to playmake quite heavily here. So curious to see how that matchup is going to go, as the Amy's going to be the last pick, and unfortunately for us, Rune ignored. Maybe another time.
Okay, no fun allowed, I suppose. It's week 4. We got to lock in. Yeah, whatever. I mean, right, the comp is going to work, right? You plug and play probably these 3 strikers anywhere you really want to right now, and it's going to be just fine. To your point, right, the all-around comp right now for PPL, probably favoring a little bit more towards that core control side, could be more challenging. I'm also curious to know whether it's Now or Kai goalie. Obviously, we saw I was about to say Maddie, because that's just the PPL goalie I'm so used to for so long. Bloom was on the Now in the last game, right? But will be interesting to see if that's still the idea, or if we end up straying away from that.
Yeah, most definitely. It's going to come down as well to just what are you more comfortable with, because you're going to have to defend against the Julie. And Julie's not easy to defend against. You have tools on both Kai and the Now to defend against it, especially with the Now, with the Mines and the Monumentalist. You probably have the easiest way of dealing with it. But a Kai Barrage, a well-executed one, is also going to do quite a bit of work. Although I probably would lean towards the Now being the goalie pick here, because again, it's just going to be the easiest one to execute. I'm going to be curious to see how well PPL is going to be playing just the core control aspect of it, because they need to be very careful around those edges. Because yes, we've highlighted Julie. We've talked about Julie all the time. It's a great pick, but she's not the only character in this game for the side of the Sundubu Strikers that can KO close to the edges. Amy has a pretty strong KO around the edge of the map as well, with that cyber swipe, with those glitch pops. So that kind of area of the map is something you want to be avoiding as much as possible, because if you're playing around there too much, you're probably just going to get picked off.
It is Bloom on the eject button Kai here, rather than the Now. So potentially looking to get more involved on the front lines here, or more easily more involved. Especially on the speed map of Night Market with the Blazing Pace. We'll see whether or not that ends up, of course, panning out, as a lot of the historic, right, really solid speed awakenings for a eject button Kai really aren't picked up that often anymore, so it feels. So we'll see how this one comes about, but at least early on, Bloom has popped that eject button a couple times, and it has gotten a little bit more pressure towards the Sundubu side of the pitch. Cardbox has the energy burst for the second gold barrier, and now 3Z awaits the core, but doesn't matter. The Giga Blast comes out, and that's a hot shot Giga Blast. Core goes flying into the net.
Yeah, Bloom doing a good job getting involved a bit up front early already, and those Giga Blasts is not something you should be underestimating, because that hitbox is rather massive, meaning if you are not careful around it, stuff like that can happen. And Shape had to find out the difficult way now, but obviously first goal, nothing's over yet, and we're again back to a pretty even state on the map.
Here's 3Z again, does have the energy burst, doesn't pop it right away. Going to be looking for it on the dribble here, potentially denied by Average Alex. And the core will stay on the red side of the pitch for now. He's got Rux again in the corner. Fiery moving forward. Shapeshifting will have the energy burst to send that one away. And now back up to 3Z. There's the Juliette, folks. There it is. It's the same thing, you know, in love.
Yeah, I mean, that dash is just so difficult to deal with. Again, Bloom tried to get the barrage out, tried to get the defense going for it, but if you just misalign it ever so slightly, it's impossible to really do and hold against that Julie dash bump. So, excellent execution there from the side of the Sundubu Strikers, but the attack is not slowing down for the PP Legends as they're taking one barrier pretty swiftly here.
One barrier down, 2 energy bursts to their name as well. And there's one used for the KO against 3Z Breezy. Power play opportunity now for them. Barrier, second barrier will fall. And now there is the pendulum swing to put away the core. Well done on the execution and the pace to get that core into the net.
Most definitely made the most off of that power play as well. Said, you know, we don't have to waste any time. We're just going to put it in. We're not even going to give you the chance of coming back into the play and do anything about it. And now they are just one goal away from taking his first set with a flip on Bloom as well if he does need to use it defensively.
We'll see if that's needed. Cardbox also has a flip potentially to use on the offensive side. This Bloom will burn his. Pendulum swing finds one. Whiplash looks to keep the core alive here for PPL, but that one doesn't collect. Energy burst is out here. Cardbox to himself, not quite. Average Alex looks to keep the play, but there's another thought coming from the dash punch out of 3Z. Whiplash is fiery, looks for the play here on the other side of the pitch. Well done, even just to stall out for time. Although meanwhile, though, Bloom tried to move forward and capitalize on the play, and the barrier is down. Really advantageous opportunity here for the Sundubu Strikers, especially with the Maelstrom coming through. 3Z can't collect on the Flying Phoenix. Here's the energy burst, and Average Alex drops back. Keep the core out of the net. Energy burst out of Fiery here, sends the core back the other direction, but seems like without much of a plan at all. The core stalls for just a moment. Glitch Pop is out. Cardbox looking for something here, and the Giga Blast is used out of Bloom. Shape has got an energy burst of his own here. Will use it with a pendulum swing coming out of Fiery, and actually 3Z doesn't even need to guide the core in at all, rather just keep Bloom out of the picture.
Yeah, was able to body block that barrage to make sure it doesn't interact with the core pretty well there. And that's going to give the Sundubu Strikers an attempt at taking the set. And this first set, again, it's going to be very important, as it always is, because we have an Arrow Julie on one team, we have a Now on the other. We are going to, again, look into the scaling aspect of this game. And getting first pick in the first draft can basically hand you the game if the right awakenings show up.
Seems as though Average Alex, highest candidate for draft for PPL, and Cardbox likely would be for the Sundubu Strikers. PPL in pursuit of the goal right now, and Average Alex ticks over to level 5. Crazy can't quite find the core that time. Actually, the Firewall Sentry just not quite on the best of angles there. Easy defense for Bloom and Average Alex, and Fiery turns it right around on the other side of the pitch. It's PPL with the first set here, and it'll be Average Alex with the pick of luck.
And that can be quite dangerous depending on what awakenings we're going to be looking at here. You have a fight or flight here. Also, don't go Sparks. There's 3 Sparks out already. So you have a last pick on Fiery, who probably doesn't have that much to choose from anymore, but the fight or flight for Average Alex is going to do so much work. As explosive entrance frame, he's going to be a pretty solid pickup as well. You do have a spark pickup for Bloom here, probably just saying, you know what, at least then Fiery gets something, as Size finds its way onto 3Z there. Again, we've seen what Size on Julie can do beforehand, and you don't want to give that Size down to Erasmus, but Fiery still pretty happy to pick up something like a Reptile Remedy here.
Interesting to see Shape go over for the Spark there as well. I guess the extra cooldowns is really all you want there out of what's left. If you're the Era, don't really want a Reptile Remedy, don't really want Stinger, right? So I guess you're left with a Spark and just have to pick up that one. So actually that Reptile Remedy falling to Fiery, a little bit fortunate, staring that triple Spark draft down the throat, but will be able to come away with something. Gold barriers open both sides of the pitch here early. Shapeshifting, looking to just keep this one alive here for the Sundubu Strikers. 3Z does have an energy burst. Here comes the Maelstrom, uses the energy burst and sends it through with the Flying Phoenix.
Yeah, not much you can do defensively there, even if Bloom somehow got a strike on it. Cardbox was right there with the Cyber Swipe as well, just shutting down any kind of potential angle there, so incredibly well played out by the side of the Sundubu Strikers here, as they're immediately kicking off again with a barrier take.
Barrier takes on both sides here. Bloom's got the energy burst online, as does Cardbox. There's 3Z taking another barrier. Fiery will take a barrier here as well, and a little angle comes out of the Night Market corner. Shout out to the rounded corners on the map as per usual, and that one will find the net for Average Alex.
Yeah, difficult to predict that one, but it is Night Market. You're going to have to deal with it, and the side of the Sundubu Strikers will have a flip available from Cardbox here as they're dumping damage into Average Alex, and Loom here potentially even forcing a KO. They do get it as well, actually. Huge power play in favor of them now as they're just trying to translate the skull into a quick 2-1 lead in the set. But Fiery doing a really good job in that midfield area on the Rasmus, shutting that down completely, and Bloom finally back on the map.
Bloom is back online. Here's 3Z, maybe looking on the triple. Cardbox as an energy burst already uses the Flying Phoenix, though. So won't have that to put the core away, and Fiery's been in position here with the Whiplash for some time. Lich Pop is out. Here comes the Maelstrom off the top side of the pitch, but it doesn't reach the enemy side of the map. 3Z almost to an energy burst here, and likely with the Flying Phoenix almost online, they'll be looking for the same kind of play to score the first goal in this set. Here's the energy burst, set up with the pendulum swing, takes down the goal barrier. Average Alex looking to keep the pressure alive. Shapeshifting will get it away from Fiery. Lich Pop comes out to stun Bloom. Average Alex is up. 3Z almost gets KO'd. Has to play a little more careful perhaps here, especially with that energy burst online. Here's the Fiery Flurry. Almost gets it up to him. There's that energy burst. Bloom is there. Narrow angle with that Maelstrom sweeping through, and Average Alex, top of the box, will get it done.
It's really just turning into a consistent war of just core control in that midfield area. Who gets these crucial strike war wins? Who gets these crucial attacks first? And who messes up first to some degree as well? And this time around, Shapeshifting wasn't properly answering that attack from Fiery here. Loses both their barriers pretty swiftly, but Sundubu Strikers looking to retaliate pretty swiftly as well.
Shape does have the energy burst online here as well, although I don't know how often that has truly helped in the open goal gate situation. Average Alex will use his. There's the Bewitching Beam. Strike War won by Fiery, but Shape has got that energy burst and will keep it out with it this time. Maelstrom is out. There's the Flying Phoenix. It secures one goal barrier. Cardbox has got the energy burst here. Fiery will able to stall out that Firewall Sentry, and now the KO comes through. Power play opportunity here for PPL. Average Alex looking to just take it himself. Maelstrom is out. Can't quite find Fiery and not getting fully set up, but finally the opening is made towards the top side of the goal, and PPL up 2-0 here.
Yeah, the difficulty for the side of the Sundubu Strikers so far is the fact that you can't really get the core very consistently all the way up to 3Z for 3Z to really do all of that Julie work, get those dash punches in, to get the barriers, get the goal in the end, because there's so much midfield control coming out from Average Alex and coming out from Loom. And in that regard, you get a team player on Shapeshifting that can help accelerate the build-up. But now you also have to deal with a prime time on Average Alex, which is just going to make it even more difficult to get through that midfield area. Getting some extra size on 3Z again is going to help, as the extra special gets denied off of Cardbox. Cardbox opting for the missile propulsion, making the turret a little bit longer, giving a bit more range on the glitch pops, but I don't think that's going to be a massive game changer in the end.
Yeah, I mean, right, it's like Okay, some extra size, sure, for 3Z. Yeah, you got the extra core speed from shapeshifting. Missile propulsion is helpful, but it feels like you don't have a lot that just turned the game around for you right now through this new strikers. And certainly going to be an uphill battle from here if they can get it done. Flying Phoenix is out, secures the gold barrier. Now 3Z doesn't need the energy burst to find the cross shot to the other side. And first goal for the Sunubu Strikers here in this third set. Very interesting, right? To think about, this was a 0.5 on the first set. That one felt a little more PPL-sided, and quickly they could run away with this game if things aren't careful.
Yeah, most definitely. The team player is going to help a little bit, but it requires Shape to play accordingly. He needs to play an incredibly aggressive line around that midfield, so that extra speed off of these cores is going to make that difference to get past average Alex and Bloom here. And so far, the side of the DUBU Strikers are trying to do that. They're being pretty successful this time around as well. But again, aggressive goalie means a volatile type of game plan, which means one little mistake, and suddenly you could lose both of your barriers.
Yeah, almost a few unforced errors there, but the Sunubu Strikers are able to recover and actually find both gold barriers for the trouble. Now 2 energy bursts online here. Cardbox looking for 3Z Breezy. But there's enough in the way to prevent that connection from happening. 3Z with the energy burst potentially here. Already has used the Flying Phoenix. There's the energy burst from Average Alex looking to get it away. Overtime now is looking for a little bit more, and 3Z will step up to put it away there with the energy burst.
Goes for the close corner, makes it difficult to defend against that properly. Average Alex not really ready for it, and Bloom guessing the wrong corner. So important goal for the side of the Sunubu Strikers. And again, if they find another goal here, they find themselves the first set, and they're gonna get priority picks on this next Awakening draft, which would be absolutely excellent for them.
Have to be looking for this here, but Fiery might have something to say about it. Beautiful energy bursts that have shapeshifting, prevents both barriers from falling right away. Looking for a little more as well, but no. Barrier will fall all of the same. There's the energy burst out of card box here. Firewall Sentry's out as well, and the gold barrier will fall. Sunubu Strikers on the power play here. Razor just has to step up. Look for the top side of the goal. It'll get away from them. At least for now. Here's the Maelstrom again. Breezy looking for the dribble play in the corner. Death Touch comes out to interrupt that. Card box leaps forward. Doesn't find the core either. Breezy is low on stagger right now. Looks to pick up the speed. Knocked around by the Giga Blast here. Pendulum Swing almost comes out to catch him. But he does have the energy to evade just in the nick of time. Doesn't matter though. Card box is there on the Cyber Swing.
Bloom not ready to core flip that one in time, as the Sunubu Strikers will find their first set here as well, and a much-deserved MVP for 3Z Breezy, because that extra size, together with these era beams as well, it made it so much easier for 3Z to get these strike war wins and get these setups properly, and he's gonna be rewarded with a prize fighter here, which could snowball this game into a completely different direction so fast. Aerials, solid pickup for Bloom here as well, but again, a super surge for Era. That's even more buffs. That's even more enabling for the Juliette here. So even though you get something like a heavy impact and some size for Average Alex and Fiery, I feel like the Sunubu Strikers finally got those big hits that they were looking for.
Yeah, that prize fighter especially could be huge for 3Z. And the denial of the bulk up as well for Cardbox here, not only providing that little bit of extra power to also pile on top for that extra damage, but preventing, I mean, we're looking at a 0 defense awakening Average Alex on this now, a 0 defense awakening Kai. Very vulnerable characters at this point in the game, could make for very easy KOs if they're not careful. Beautiful Death Touch from Fiery, actually, preventing that core from going back. Actually pulls it through to the opposite side to find a goal barrier. Cardbox used the Cyber Swipe Glitch Pop combination on Average Alex. Here's the Fiery Flurry, but it's evaded. Now the Giga Blast comes through, and 3Z's down to 0 stacks of the prize fighter. Just like that. Bloom on the advantage here, will push the issue and sends it through.
Important KO to be found there. Basically just removes the last awakening that was been given. to 3Z Breezy here, or makes it incredibly, incredibly weak. That means you're gonna have to find KOs again to really get that relevancy in that. And if that's already not enough for the side of PP Legends, they do have basically 3 flips here as well. So the Sundubu Strikers need to kind of get this next point pretty soon.
Fiery very close to going down there as well. There's Fiery Flurry from 3Z. Now the Flying Phoenix comes through. Does still have the Energy Burst here for the goal, but doesn't need it thanks to a beautiful Maelstrom from Shapeshifting. Sets up that goal beautifully. And suddenly we're equalized here in set 4.
Equalized, and 3Z still has to flip. And I mean, we know what Julie can do as a baseline. We know what she can do when she has Prize Fighter. We know what she can do when she has a little bit of damage, and we know what she can do when she has a flip. So we'll see if that's gonna be coming into play here as well. Maybe for a KO, maybe for a barrier, but the KO actually gets found by Fiery. Shapeshifting and being a little bit too close to the edge there, and a beautiful pendulum swing will just pick him off right then and there.
It's game point now for PPL. They have tried so far, the Sundubu Strikers, to get back to this one, and we thought the last draft would be able to do it for them, but PPL has responded in a big way. Power play comes through. 3Z will add 1 stack back to that prize fighter. Set has not snowballed out of control for him just yet, but it might very quickly, as there's the energy burst to come through, and all of a sudden we're tied again.
And how do you defend that? There's a Cyber Swipe, there's a Dash Punch, an Amy Turret, there's nothing you can do. And then you get taken out as well. 3Z suddenly back on 2 stacks now on this prize fighter. Gonna be an even bigger menace around the edge. PPL need to find the goal fast here, otherwise it gets really scary for them.
Great save in the Blazing Pace from Bloom. That one will go back to the goal barrier. Here's 3Z again on the Fiery Flurry. Has chunked down Average Alex, but does have the lifeline. There's the second goal barrier here. Sundubu Strikers looking to send us to a set 5. Want to fend off a potential opportunity in game 3. Resetting everything. Death Touch trying to pull 3Z back, but it doesn't matter. He's still there, and we're on to set 5.
We are on to set 5. We are on to another draft where 3Z is going to get the first pick. What is still left for this Juliette to become an even bigger manage? 1-2 punch. There's 1-2 punch. And stacks as well. There's a lot, actually, which is scary still. You have a lot of opportunities to be going for. You can lean heavily into the KOs. That's what he's going to do. He's wanting to stack those prize fighter stacks as much as possible. And the Twin Drive being the pickup from Loom, allowing the stacks to potentially fall down to Cardbox here, which is interesting. The Deadeye being a pickup for Fiery, potentially wanting to deny as much of that damage as possible, not wanting to give that KO out to the Sundubu Strikers. But a Sparkle Leadership as well, picked up by Shapeshifting. Cooldowns a little bit lower across the board now.
Here's the thing, though. You denied a little extra damage, but you haven't made the game any easier for your teammates to play. Bloom taken down to half. Sure, the lifeline comes out, but now you've forced that 30-second cooldown out, and you're going to be sitting ducks unless you get that energy up pretty quickly. Goal barrier is falling for the Sundubu Strikers. Average Alex maybe looking forward here. 3Z now will be able to collect, and boom, the core goes skyrocketing with the 1-2 punch through to the net.
Bloom has almost no chance anymore against 3Z Breezy in a 1v1. 3Z Breezy with all that power, with all that core speed, hot shot, 1-2 punch. Prize fighters that can only get stronger from here on out are just going to be really difficult to be dealing with. So you need to make sure that core gets interrupted before 3Z even gets close to it. You find a huge KO here, though. Power play now in favor of PPL as recovery drone gets proc.
Yeah, that was Shapeshifting taken off of the pitch. Oh, barely misses the goal barrier there. It's just outside in the bottom corner. Will find one. Power play looks to continue as possession is maintained here for PPL for a decent chunk of it. Finally, Cardbox looking to walk the core up. Here's 3Z again, coming through. We'll be able to find something, and now another power play opportunity. This time, though, for the Sundubu Strikers. Shapeshifting up to the top side. Gigablast sends it behind him, but it doesn't matter. Fiery looking to collect and keep the hopes alive for the PPL right now, but it's just done enough. There is the goal barrier falling, but it falls on the other side as well. Gigablast just shy of setting the core through. There's a Fiery Flurry, and it comes in on just the right angle. Match point for the Sundubu Strikers.
And a game that at one point looked so securely in PP Legends' hands has suddenly just completely 180'd itself into the soon DUBU Strikers' hands now. They're one goal away, and they have energy to work with.
And they're already on the offensive. The Firewall Sentry's out, and 3-0 find one barrier. Meanwhile, Fiery on the other side of the pitch, looking for another, but it's denied by Shapeshifting. Locked down, and hopes are starting to feel dashed. If you're PPL, Shapeshifting forward again. The Bewitching Beam has come out, and there's 3Z. KO's Bloom, adds one to the prize fighter stack, and now might be able to add another win to the NASL resume. Fiery pulls it back with a death touch. 3Z can't quite collect the core just yet, but it doesn't matter. The fadeaway shot to the top side is all that's needed, and the soon DUBU Strikers are back up to the 2-2.
They have done it. That last draft just gave them everything they needed, and the PP Legends just didn't really have a really good way to navigate it. And towards the end, 3Z Breezy was just such a menace up front, so difficult to be dealing with and playing around with. There's not a lot he can do. You can see it in the stats as well. 10 goals, not a single assist. That's a brawler right there.
Hey, all that's needed is to get the job done, and 3Z got the job done. That's for certain. Cardbox, 38,000 damage, leading the chart there as well. And I think when things really started ramping up there towards the very end, when 3Z is able to find those KOs, especially because those defensive awakenings weren't prioritized early. I can't stress this enough, right? Sure, there was a lot of damage out of 3Z, but that was still base stagger, now base stagger Kai into the Juliette. We've seen Juliette. Hey, Juliette gets another win, right? There it goes again. But, and obviously is very proficient at exactly what she does. But against those two strikers in particular, with such a low beginning stagger amount, gonna make it incredibly difficult in an uphill battle. Certainly was there for the back half of that game.
Yeah, little hints to people that haven't caught on. Julie's kind of strong right now. She's doing quite a bit right now, so maybe a little bit of a prio pick to be considering. But yeah, in the end, the soon DUBU Strikers, I think all around PP Legends had a really strong showing still, but the soon DUBU Strikers just had a little bit more of that consistency needed, a little bit more of that execution and game plan that made it work for them so well. And obviously great for them that they are now 2-2 into the season and are looking to expand that score even further.
To other teams looking to top the leaderboard at the end of the day today. It's the next one for the leader at the end of week 4. Bozo Bunch versus Hungry Like Nephew. You won't want to miss that one coming up next, folks. Don't go anywhere.